So the here and now, you're going to Dallas for this big game on
Right.
Sunday. That Dallas can clinch the division with a dub. Washington hopefully will be healthy, literally,
Yeah.
and play this game. Uh, and then it's just fascinating to me how things change. Obviously, in a football season, the Dallas defense is clearly the unit that is carrying the Cowboys right now, as opposed to the offensive side of the ball. When you saw them on the first Thursday night of the season, Dak's throwing for
Right.
400 yards and things like that. It's amazing how things have kind of switched a little bit, don't you think?
No
Al?
question. I mean, Dan Quinn obviously has done a great job, and I'm sure that he'll be looked at to come back as the head coach for somebody maybe as early as next year. I think that the other thing too, Rich, is that it's been kind of a crazy season for these guys. We had their game Halloween night in Minnesota.
That's right,
where
Cooper
Prescott
Rush.
couldn't play, and Cooper Rush comes in and wins the game. Of course, with some help from that defense as well. And I think right now, as you look at it, only one team gets a bye. At the moment, it would be Green Bay. Dallas is in a position to maybe get the number 2 seed. If they are, I mean, not only do you get a wild card home game, you could get a divisional home game as well. So, I mean, that 2 seed is big. The 1, of course, is gigantic because you get the bye week and you rest up and everything comes through your stadium. And they're not out of the mix for that either right now because, they've got Washington. They'll be favored this week. I think Arizona goes in there. That's going to be a really interesting game the following week. And, the Cowboys, it's funny. And you're right. I mean, early on, Prescott on opening night looked great. Took Tampa Bay down to the wire. Dak was probably in the MVP conversation through 5 or 6 weeks. Then he had the injury, missed the game and all of that, and obviously hasn't played all that well. And they don't look like a super team right now, except for the defense. And they've got Lawrence back and playing well. And Diggs has 10 interceptions. They're taking the ball away. So and they should beat Washington, whether Washington's healthy or not, on Sunday night. At least they'll be strongly favored, I think. So here we go again. The Dallas Cowboys. You and I have talked about this through the years. Every year, it doesn't matter. There's so much interest in that team.
Yeah.
And everybody, laughs and mocks the fact, some still call them America's team, which, Tex Stram called them many, many years ago. But in a way, people are interested in the Cowboys. And it's one of those teams, I've always said they're like the Yankees. You love them or hate them, but you can't ignore them.
And number 2 seed, Al, is obviously you don't get the week off, but that's second best, literally and also figuratively, because you're going to be facing a team that's most likely 9 and 8, if not 8 and 9 coming in, as opposed to the 3 and 4 seed, where you're probably going to face, either the second or third place team in the NFC West. Right? I mean that, and the one team that you saw on a Sunday night, a dreadful rainy Sunday night when the Colts came in to take on San Francisco, that was kind of the last game in which the Niners didn't have shades of 2019. They have come from a long way, huge strides as the proverbial, and both of those teams, Colts and Niners, you could say are the proverbial teams you don't want to face in either conference going into the playoffs
right now. I mean, the Niners, I thought, they looked like they were dead. I mean, they had all those injuries as well. You didn't know what Garoppolo was going to do the rest of the season. Would they move Lance in there? Kittle gets hurt. The running backs get hurt. I give Kyle and that group a lot of credit with what's gone on up there, because you're right. After that night against Indianapolis in the rain in San Francisco, I thought this team just doesn't look right, and this team's in a tough division with Arizona and the Rams, and who knew what Seattle was going to be at that particular point, even though they faded. But when I see them now, I mean, Garoppolo's playing well. Kittle's a monster.
He sure
I mean,
is.
Just a monster. What he did in that Cincinnati game, that catch he made, going high in the air. And I mean, here's a guy coming off an injury. He's tremendous. And I mean, you think about this team and the bad breaks they had last year, and then this year they start out with, Raheem Mostert's one of the best backs in the league. Lose him before the season starts. Losing just about everybody. Took Ayuk a little while to get back into the flow of things. Samuel is terrific. We know that. everybody's got problems with the line, with injuries and all of that. They've been able to work through that. So I look at that team. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think, heading down the stretch in week, it sounds funny, week 18, because they go to 17 games this year plus the bye.
Right.
So we're going to get the last game of the year on that Sunday night, and what the league obviously wants to do is give us a game where the winner is in, the loser is out. So if we can't find that, I'm looking at the schedule that week, and I know the 49ers play at the Rams.
Yes, indeed.
And that may not be winner and loser out, but that could be for seeding.
Yeah, I know. I was literally was about to finish up our conversation by asking you what your 256 might be, your game 256, or what it used to be, whatever the heck it now is now. I guess you got to add
Right.
you got to add 16.
Yeah.
It's what game 272 right now, right? So
Right.
Because I know you and Fred Godelli, Drew Esikoff, and everybody else, and Chris talk about this stuff in advance. Certainly,
Right.
when all you got to do might take a courtesy car. I know you're definitely keenly interested in that. So you put it all together. That might be for the division for the Rams or the Cardinals, or seeding, which is crucially important. I wouldn't want to face the Niners right now. Period.
Yeah, I mean that's a game.
Period.
I mean that has to be in the mix when you look at it from this vantage point. But again, the best scenario we could have, and we've had it a couple of times. Didn't have it last year. Was the winners in, the losers out.
Right.
I mean that's the golden game.
Right.
That you try to get as game number 272. Last year that didn't happen. Remember last year we had Washington against Philadelphia, and Philly was out, but Washington needed to win, and they did. And that was the night, of course, that they put Nate Sudfeld in the game in place of Jalen Hurts. And everybody was so angry because the Giants had a chance to get in, and people wanted to know, what in the world are you doing putting to take a look at Sudfeld, who's already been on that roster for 3 or 4 years. And frankly, speaking of Doug Peterson, who's all over the conversation we're having today, that may have sealed Doug's fate last year. I know that Jeff Lurie was not very happy about what happened that night, and they were embarrassed, and people were saying, what in the hell are you doing? You owe it to every other team to give it your best. And they had the lead at one point, too, in that game. And then they put Sudfeld in, and it was a disaster, and Washington wound up going to the playoffs.
I got 2 for you right here. I'll send you on into your Wednesday, Al, with 2 possibilities of winner in, loser goes home, because I'm just looking at 18. Here's 2 of them. Chargers at Raiders. That's entirely possible.
Interesting. Chargers should be in by then, though.
Correct.
I would think.
Right. I know that. These are long shots. I mean.
Right.
But here's one that's not so shabby because of the way how tight is everything in the AFC North. And I know you'd be all over this, signing up for another Steelers-Ravens, where winner in, loser goes home. That's a possibility right there. That's
and
possible.
You're right. I think I heard you say earlier that you may have only one team from that division because it's so tight.
Right.
Going to the playoffs. So it's but you can't forget Cincinnati. Obviously, they're
currently in the spot.
But you're right. I mean, the way things are going right now, Rich, as I've always said, nobody knows anything, and I'm now changing that to everybody knows nothing. Take it there.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.